Godzilla, I'm here to stop your tyrannical reign over this channel. No more shall our reviews be dedicated to once in a while, and no more shall we be relegated to Steve's bedroom. We want to be in his office too so that everyone can enjoy us, and that our figures get prioritized over you. So to help me with those set goals, I brought my friend Tommy.
So who's the terrifying kaiju now, Godzilla?
Tommy is it? I will let you sit on Steve's top shelf in his office, if you'd be so kind to take care of this little problem for me.
Tommy, don't you even think about it.
I'm sorry, little guy.
Tommy, no!
Hey guys, welcome to Super Important Reviews. My name's Steve.
My name's Arnes.
Today I'll be going over the Neca Aliens 30th Anniversary 1/4 scale Xenomorph Warrior. This is a stupid huge alien from the film Aliens. If you guys haven't seen it, shame on you. Anyways, moving on. Movie's freaking amazing. Go check it out.
Steve, I thought we were moving on.
No, we're going to talk about this more. Because I got this figure from, well, it's not even mine. It's Andrew Dickinson's. It's one of my friends at work. He decided to let me borrow this bad boy. And also sorry that this review is taking freaking forever to get out. I've had this guy for almost 3 weeks now, and I'm just now finally getting around to doing this bad boy.
We're sorry.
Yeah, so without further ado, for the packaging, stupid huge. I'm actually going to have Arnes get up to rotate the box for me.
I don't wanna.
But for the front of it, it comes with this nice clear plastic, so you see the figure on the inside of it. You can see that the figure is loose because it's already been previously opened. Alien 30th Anniversary, 1/4 scale Xenomorph Warrior with some cool hive stuff going on in the background.
What?
Get up and move it, damn it.
I don't wanna. Making me do work.
That's why you're here. For this side, you get a nice shot of the alien on the inside. Alien 30th Anniversary, more of the same stuff. Then for this side of the packaging, you get the Xenomorph Warrior in a little bit of a terrifying pose, more aliens. And for the back of the packaging, you get the alien doing some kind of shimmy dance thing going on. At FYE, it goes for 120 bucks, which is where you just purchase. There's some description from the film. It's nearly 2 feet tall, over 25 points of articulation, jaw opens, inner mouth extends, and bendable tail. And for the top of the packaging, really love that image of the alien right there, straight from the film. Pretty sweet. More of the same stuff we've already seen. And some Lego mumbo jumbo. So let's get this guy opened up out of his cardboard prison. Alright, so now we got him opened up out of his cardboard prison with Arnes making an appearance in this video. Yeah, this is why we don't have Arnes making appearances in these videos. But anyways, for the figure, he doesn't come with any accessories, which makes sense. What accessory do we really need for the Xeno from Aliens, other than maybe like a ginormous egg to go along with it?
I have
sweet.
One. Arnes, my egg.
Maybe you should have. Even though it wouldn't have worked for him either. So we need an alien eggs to work with these guys now, Neca. Make it happen. Make it happen.
He's passing the test wind.
Yes, also want to point out that this figure can stand by itself. Not recommended, because he's pretty much balancing on a hair right now. If I go to shimmy the table.
Stop it.
Woo! Actually, staying up, they're pretty good. Huh.
Neat.
Alright, this is a horrible example. But
we're failing, Steve.
Yes, I know. But anyways, I do highly recommend, if you do pick up this figure, to get a stand. Because granted, he's standing there right now, but any real kind of nudging is going to knock him over. Because his feet aren't very big to make a really solid base for the figure here. So, granted, you can have him doing this, but it's just bad things waiting to happen. Alright, so for a closer look at Mr. Xenomorph's details here, one thing I want to point out is that if you have the smaller action figure, it is literally the exact same figure, just in a much larger scale. So all pretty much the same details on this little guy here translate very nicely onto the big one. But since it's a much larger figure, the details show up much more nicely, especially with the paint job. Because you guys can see for the larger one, the blue isn't as hardcore all over the 1/4 scale figure over the small one, which I think looks really nice. Same with it has a lot more of a clear coat over top to give it that really nice slick slime to it that the little one, well, it does show up on there, it just doesn't show up as nicely. So I think the larger figure overall really helps to translate that a little bit better. But for the most part, if you guys own this one, this is just a much larger version of that. It even has the softer plastic here on the lower section for the articulation. But for you guys that don't own either of them, for his details anyways, the head sculpt on this thing is phenomenal. I really love all the indentations here on the skull. or the dome is, if you that's what you want to call it. Because unlike Big Chap, it's actually one solid piece where you don't have that translucent plastic on top to show the inner workings.
What is the difference, though? Like, they both came out of a human, so, like, how is this one different than that one?
But for the head sculpt on this guy, a lot of the details translate very nicely, though, where you get the nice little skeletal spine sticking out of the top section of the head. Really love the front dome here, very nice. But the one thing on mine is it kind of looks, well, not mine, Andrew's, is that it looks like there's a fingerprint on the front of it. Kind of set into the plastic here. I don't know if that's just the way the plastic was cut, but it kind of looks like somebody just kind of like pressed their thumb on there.
So, like, these holes right here, were these, like, meant for the eye, where the eye sockets were in humans, or...?
Well, because on Big Chap, they have the skull on the top, like the human skull, and then it bends all the way back.
Yeah, because I'm assuming, like, this is their spine and everything, you know, like, that goes down your back, so...
Well, kind of. You also have it back here, though, too, as well. But for these, I believe these are, like, where, like, the sensory organs are on the alien. It's, like, the indentation that's kind of, like, where it sees, for the most part.
Okay.
But you get a lot of tubing running down the side of the alien head here. You get some going up the center towards the spine and the back. One thing I want to point out when articulating it, you're going to have to watch out for these little tubes because they will pop out if you decide to go a little too crazy with the articulation on the top here. But for the details for the jaws, look really awesome. Really like the metallic silver going over the teeth. His weird...
Steve, what is that?
Weird shit going on.
Why does he look like Peter Griffin, Steve? What are those?
It's a cliff. A cliff chin. But you can even see here too on the intersectioning of the mouth, you get his little mini mouth on the inside. Same with, I really love the translucent plastic here for the membranes on the side of the face. Looks amazing. And then also, this can extend outward. Though, for some odd reason on Andrew's figure, I had to work the crap out of this to get this thing to come out. Because as you can see, it wants to stop right about here. But we're going to pull this thing all the way out. There you go.
I'm not going to say what it looks like. I'm not going to say what it looks like.
Looks like a Minnie Mouth, man.
Sure.
But it has this overall faded gray paint job with some little black wash over top to help fill in the detailings for the little crevices there. Looks really nice overall. Even has a little bit of a underbite on the lower section here, and also has some metallic silver for the teeth as well, just to go along with the standard mouth. And we're going to push that back in.
God, look how big his neck is. I just noticed that.
Yeah, well, start moving down. His neck is freaking huge. But then again, on this, you know, it was really big to begin with because that's mainly where you would have the suit actor.
Yeah.
That's where his head area would be resting, so it has to be pretty big to be able to get it into there. But it looks really good, too. I really love the bulge actually on the front of there. Looks really cool. Gives it a little bit more character. And then moving down his body, you get the nice skeletal structuring for his rib cage here. And same with the lower section here, you get a bunch of weird nubs and what kind of looks like buttons going on. I never really understood what these actually were supposed to represent other than just weird details. And then you get that.
You better explain to people what that is, Steve.
It looks like a vagina, you happy? Well, not really, but it's there like one. On his back area, you get his spine, which is fairly elongated on the upper section of his back, but shrinks down once you get towards his rear area. And then his little tubes that you will have to actually attach from outside of the packaging. So when you get it in, you're actually going to have to put these on. So that's the only real assembly that's going to be required. But since I already got him fully assembled, we're just going over it the way it is right now. And then this figure also has the giant cliff thing on the back section below the base of the neck. Which that's one of the things I never really understood what that was actually supposed to be. Looks cool, but it just kind of looks like a giant ton just coming hanging off the back. It's just odd. Like, I couldn't imagine the alien really getting its head all the way back with this in the way, but even on like the Square Enix figure, this would actually like adjust so that the alien could actually move its head upwards. And then for his very slender arms, for the biceps, you get that whole Piccolo kind of effect going on. Whereas
You make fun of him for that. Looks amazing.
Yeah, but Piccolo's awesome. And I imagine that's kind of where he gets that detailing from. But you get some of the tubes running down in between the bicep area, and then also on the forearm here too. Has that little giant bony crest coming out of his forearm and extending outwards to his elbow, which always looked really cool. Kind of looks like a weapon. Like if you guys haven't read the new Ultraman manga, where he uses the Spectium blades on his arms. And then for his right hand, he has his fingers kind of going in a few different directions, but primarily his middle finger sticking upward, and his two, I don't even know what to call it, kind of his thumb and pinky are kind of going off in their own direction. And on the left hand, they actually have a little bit more direction going on, with the pinky sticking outwards the most, and then the middle finger coming down a little bit, and then his thumb reaching around. But overall, the detailing on his hands look really nice, where there is some metallic silver here for the inner linings of the bones that are protruding out of the finger. And same with the nails, look really good too. And also with his very slender legs, the detailing on there looks really great as well, with that same kind of intermembraning details with some more tubing running down the side of the legs. And with his feet are done very nicely too. Mostly the same setup as what we had with the other one though, which will come to my little problem with that in a second here. But the detail for them are actually very nice. So with that same metallic silver here for the nails, which he has 4 toes in total. And then a little bit of these spiky protrusions coming out the back of the heel.
Steve, his legs look, his feet look kind of small, Steve.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a problem with him not standing upright, but we already kind of went over that. And then he has also a very small tail, which kind of looks like a spinal cord coming out from the base of his rear, and then elongates into this very nice pointy end that they can use as a weapon. And for the most part, the detailing for this holds up just as well as the body, because this is actually made out of a more rubber material so that it can use the bendy wire for the articulation. But just looking at it, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference between that and, say, the plastic that they use for the upper sections of the body. And then for his articulation, this is going to be fun. For his head, can look a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right, and has a wiggle to it as well. But again, be careful with the tubes on the side, because you don't want to rip them out from the side of the cheeks or on the back. His mouth can go up and down. Same with the inner mouth can come out, but we already went over that part, and it's really hard to get that thing out of there.
If the tubes rip, can you put them back in, or...?
You have to glue them back on.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, so it's going to require a little bit of maintenance. For his arm is on a ratchet joint, so when you move it up and down, it's actually very stiff, which is kind of scary, because with my experience with some of these figures, sometimes when you have a stiff joint, you're going to want to loosen it with a hairdryer or hot water before you really start wanting to play with it, because just have less problems with it later with joint snapping. This figure seems to move fairly easily, but still going to be tight no matter what. But it can go in and out, and also rotate all the way around. Has a double joint here at the elbow, so a really nice bend to it, just straighten up about that far. Has a rotation at the elbow, rotation at the hand, and the hand is also in a hinge joint, so it can swivel forward and back. At his waist, has a little bit of a wiggle, but on this figure, not too much going on. Can rotate a little bit as well, but again, it's very stiff on this one. I'm kind of afraid to go any farther than this.
You know, I thought that was a chair making a noise, but that was just him.
And then for his leg, can go outwards about that far.
Steve, why are you breaking Andrew's toy, man?
I'm trying not to. Inwards about that far. And then it can go forward about that far. Backwards about that far. And then has a double joint here at the knee, but I can show it off a little bit better on this leg. So really nice bend at the knee. A little bit of rotation here at the upper portion of the thigh. And then for the feet, can rotate a little bit side to side, have a little bit of a pivot to it, because it's actually set up as a ball joint in here, which is the problem I have with the little figure, because it doesn't really give you a lot to play with it in terms of articulation. So it's really hard to get this guy in any dynamic poses. Outside of his toes are actually articulated too, and are on a ratchet joint, so they can swivel up and down. But because of the ball joint, it just makes it hard to keep this guy more upright. So again, recommend if you pick him up, definitely get a stand. And his tail is on a bendy wire, so you can pretty much articulate this however you want. Just be a little bit careful when bending it, because over time I would worry about the wire breaking on the inside of this. But because it's such thick rubber, I'm not too worried about the wire actually popping through here. And for some quick comparison, here we have the Alien Xeno from Aliens compared next to Big Chap from the original Alien film, which this is the first production run. So this thing, we did a review for it, it's not the best compared to some of these new ones. Like, this one is definitely a much more updated version of the figure because it's essentially just the little guy much larger. While this one has all the same problems that I used to have with a lot of the older NECA figures, like, it's pretty much minimal leg articulation, which really hinders him standing by himself.
As you can tell by me holding him.
And here he is compared next to the NECA Deluxe Alien Queen from Aliens as well. And here he is compared next to some other NECA Xeno Warriors from Aliens with the blue variant and the poopy brown variant. And here's some other random alien figures with the NECA AVP Grid Alien and the Square Enix Spitter Alien from Alien Colonial Marines. So what would this review be without a Godzilla figure? So here we have the alien next to the X Plus Gigantic Series Godzilla 1962. So overall, with the 30th anniversary 1/4 scale Xenomorph Warrior, I actually really like this figure overall because I think the articulation actually is really nice on this figure, with it being mostly ratchet joints and still holding pretty much all the same articulation as the little figure. It's pretty impressive for what they did with this larger scale version. And with it being larger, the details show up much more predominantly on it. My own real qualm with this figure is mainly that the inner mouth of the standard mouth is really hard to get out of this figure. And with some of the joints, it can be a little bit scary with the ratchets or joints at times. But for the most part, I would rather have the joints be a little bit stiffer on a larger figure than them being super loose and then having it more prone and falling over.
I enjoy all the details on this guy, even his chin, balls, thing, weird looking.
That's how it was in the movie.
But the detail is fantastic. Like, I like it, you know. I don't know if I would prefer him over Big Chap, though. Not yours, though. Yours is crappy, Steve.
Yeah, I'll admit.
But I'm talking about the new one, you know.
Yes, the one that was recently re-released. Because it has the updated articulation like the smaller figures. And essentially, it's just a Big Chap version of this figure. So, if you just needed one alien in your collection, one giant alien that you wanted to pick up, I would probably recommend Big Chap over this one just because he's a little bit more iconic.
Yeah.
But if you prefer the movie Aliens and the design over Alien, then I would definitely recommend this one over that.
It just depends on like what's your more, you know, movie like.
Yeah, it all just kind of falls on personal preference, I feel, on this one. If you want Big Chap or the other one. But for you guys that collect aliens just because you love to collect all the alien figures, then I definitely recommend picking up this guy. He'd be a solid addition to your collection. But what do you guys think? Have you guys picked up the 1/4 scale Warrior Xeno? What's your favorite 1/4 scale action figure? Are monsters just not real? Please let us know in the comments. Look closer pictures of this guy on Facebook if you want to click the link in the description below. And help us defeat those kaijus by hitting that like button, subscribe, become a ranger today, and see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.